Alright guys, welcome to module 2. In this module, we're going to go over mastering your credit report. Essentially where to pull your credit report, how to read your credit report, and some key information that gets reported so you can know exactly if your account is being reported accurately. Remember, you are protected under federal laws that your credit report has to be reported accurately. So if any company out there, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, are reporting any account inaccurately, they'll, by law, if they don't make any corrections on that account has to be removed. Okay, and they can get in trouble legally if they're not reporting items accurate. Okay, let's get into it. Where to pull your credit report? You can go to annualcreditreport.com, and that's where you'll be able to pull your credit report. Remember, this is just a report, so you will not be able to see your score on there, but it will give you a report for all three CRAs of Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. So you'll be able to see, you can pretty much pull your report from there. Right. Why all three bureaus matter? Well, the reason why all three of them matter is because if an account is being reported accurately, they should essentially look the same across all three bureaus. What I mean by that is that they should have the same data. The amount owed should be the same. The limit, if it's a credit card, it should be the same. The date of first delinquency should be the same. If that account is closed or open, it should be the same across all three credit bureaus. If that information is not accurate or consistent across all three credit bureaus, well, there's a chance that, well, there's not even a chance, it's a fact that that account itself is not being reported accurately, because there's no reason why an account should be closed on one bureau at the same time open on another bureau. That doesn't make any sense. That's why all three credit bureaus are important. It just allows you to know exactly what information is being reported accurately and which ones are being reported inaccurately. Okay. Now, when it comes to your report, there is 5 critical sections. When you look at your report, the first thing that you're gonna see is your personal information section, which will essentially show you the names. If you have any other names, you'll be able to see all of those there. If you have more than one name, chances are there's names that are just not correct, right? And then you'll be able to see your address or any previous addresses there. You listen, if there's an address that you don't recognize, as you should probably dispute that, right? If an address is not yours, you never lived there, it shouldn't be reporting on your credit profile. You can also see your employer on the first section, which is the personal information. Now, the second section is accounts and trade lines. This is where you'll be able to see your credit cards, loans, payment history. If you have any mortgage, all of that will be here. So any trade lines that's currently open, I believe, and closed as well will be here. So any credit card accounts that might be closed will be here. And then you have your collection section. This is where you'll be able to see all of your collections. Any collections that are sent to a third-party company or purchased by a debt buyer will be here. And then the fourth section, you have your inquiries. So anytime you apply for a loan, a credit card, and you get a hard inquiry, you'll be able to see all of those here. And then lastly, you have public record, which is your bankruptcy, any judgment or liens that will appear in public record. Okay, so these are the 5 sections that you will see on your credit report. So Read Like a Pro, again, as I mentioned earlier, right? You'll have it's important to actually see how every account is being reported across all 3 CRAs. If you have a late payment on one CRA, you should have the same late payment For Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, charge off. They should all be charge off if it's a charge off account, right? So it doesn't make sense if it's a charge off on one account and then it shows that it's open or closed. If the data is not consistent across all three CRAs, then there's a problem, right? Like you cannot have a collection on one account for that same account. You cannot have a collection for that same account on Experian, and then on TransUnion is saying that you paying this account on time. Like there's something wrong there, right? So these are areas to focus and understand that this information has to be accurate across all three CRAs. That means that they have to match. If this information doesn't match, then there's something wrong. Okay? All right. Now, even when it comes to fixing your credit, the first thing, like one of the first things to do is just clean up your personal information. You'll be surprised at how many people will have accounts that don't even belong to them because they have the wrong personal information attached to the credit bureau's file. So make sure that you check your name, make sure that it's actually spelled correctly, the addresses or places that you lived, and they're also correct. Check your employer as well. Cleaning up this personal information will also save you a headache when it comes to disputing accounts because it's easy to dispute items, especially if they're not yours or they're just inaccurate, right? Because this is like the first step in trying to dispute any information. Make sure that your personal information it's exactly you, not someone else's, so you wouldn't have someone else's account reporting on your credit profile. So here's are some red flags to look at and understand this. When it comes to fixing your credit, the more contradiction that there is when it comes to the information that's being reported, the more leverage you have, and the more leverage you have, the more likely you can get this account removed, right? So if the account is being reported differently across all three CRAs, now when I mentioned the term CRA, I'm talking about the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus are not government agencies. They're actually just private company that are in this business to make money from selling your data. A lot of people don't know this, but your data is one of the most important thing when it comes to this new way of doing business, this new way of making money. Your data, your personal information is extremely, extremely valuable. So always protect your information as much as you can. But anyways, the three CRAs are private companies. They're not government agencies. So they are in a business of selling your data to make money. If an account is reporting the wrong date in terms of when you were first delinquent or when you were first late on that account, if the date is wrong, then we have a problem. If the data is wrong, then we have a problem, right? It could be the wrong number in terms of the credit limit for that particular account. It could be that they're saying you owe money even though you didn't on that account. So any of these areas or ways that you need to be aware of and look for when it comes to fixing your credit. And then you have re-aging, which is illegal. In a sense, what happens is that, let's say you are actually, the first time that you missed payment on this account was January of 2024, right? And you have never brought that account into positive. And then 6 months later, they move that date into, let's say, May of 2024. They moved it by a few months, but that's re-aging because it's technically not right. You first missed it in January, not May. That's re-aging. The consequence of re-aging is that that account will then leave, will pretty much has to stay on your credit profile for a very, very long time, extending that 7-year period in which all negative items have to stay on your credit report. When I say negative items, I'm excluding bankruptcies. So charge-offs, collections, if they are reporting accurately, which 80% of the time they're not, right? If they are reporting accurately, then they'll have to stay on your credit profile for 7 years, right? So the key when it comes to fixing your credit is that you are attacking the fact that they are being reported inaccurately. Okay, so we kind of went over reaging. Reaging is essentially when the date of first delinquency is being moved, make it look like it's newer, right? So charge off mistakes. So what exactly is a charge off and what happens? So a charge off happens when you have an account, you miss payment, and you don't make any payment for 60 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. By law, they have to pretty much mark that account as a charge-off account by 180 days. So if you go, that's about 6 months, I believe. I'm not really good at math, but if you go 6 months without making payment on that account, then by law they have to mark it as a charge-off. By law, right? So after 180 days, or if you're not making payment, they'll have to mark it as a charge-off. Oftentimes, some companies will start marking their account as a collection. Technically, there's no law of when they can mark it as a collection. If as long as you miss payment, they can technically just mark it as a collection or send it to a collection company if you miss the first 30 days. But I don't think there's a law that it says that they have to wait for a particular period for them to mark the account as a collection, the similar way as a charge-off, right? So a charge-off, think of it like these people try to collect from you and they try to make you pay, and you just now they feel like, you know what, we may not get this person to pay us. Let's just charge it off, write it off. Now there's gonna be some situation where they will write off the debt in with the IRS. If that happens, you'll get a 1099-C, which is a cancellation of debt. If you get a 1099-C, you then have to file taxes on that 1099-C cancellation of debt. But oftentimes, you don't always get a 1099-C. That only occurs if they actually write off the debt with the IRS. If they just write it off and kept it in-house, they can still just try to collect the debt from you or sell it to a third-party debt collector to try to collect that debt, right? So in summary, a charge-off happens if you have not made payment for more than 120 to 180 days. That account is going to go, it's going to be marked as a charge-off. And for a collection account, I think anywhere between it, technically by even 30 days, they can mark it as a collection, right? Right. So let's move on. All right. Number one, when it comes to trying to exactly dispute information on your credit file, always make sure that you are keeping a record of everything that you have going on. Keep a record of the letters that you are sending off. Make sure that you actually do when you send off the letters. Make sure that you do certified mail. That way you can keep the receipt and know exactly when that letter gets delivered, right? So always make sure that you have your documentation and file in place. All right, important thing number 2, track statement date, right? When it comes to credit card, I think we spoke about this a little bit in module number 1. Track your statement closing date and track your due date. Your due date is when that minimum payment is due, right? On any credit card, if you just make the minimum payment, you're not late. You would be charged interest on the balance that's still owed, but you're not late if you just make the minimum payment, right? But if you also want to kind of defeat the interest, just pay off your credit card. Just pay it off as much as you can, because having a credit card balance earns interest every single day. So myth that actually wastes time. Some people think that pulling your credit report actually hurts your score. That's a myth. What hurts your score is a hard inquiry, which is a hard pull. A soft pull does not hurt your score whatsoever. Okay. Another myth, which is false, is that disputing always to boost your score. That is not true. Disputing your account does not always boost your score. So that's false. Credit repair companies have a secret or some sort of access that you don't have. No. Credit repair companies have the same information that you do. In fact, you can fix your own credit without having to use a credit repair company. It's just that you may not know what you're doing, right? Which is why it's important to learn what we're going through so you can actually know what you're doing. So you can leverage AI to write the letters for you based on your situation instead of templates. Here's the thing about templates. If you get a general template from someone, or maybe someone online is selling you a template and you purchase that template, the credit bureaus get those type of templates all the time. So if you're using a generic template for you trying to fix your credit, they get that all the time. So it's better to just write your own letter from scratch. And to do that, you have to understand exactly how to read your report, understand exactly which item is being reported inaccurately, so you can actually have a chance and fight off them trying to take advantage of you. So you can actually write letters that will make sense. Okay. If an account is not yours, you do have the option to file identity theft with the FTC, right? So if an account is not yours, you can file identity theft. If you feel as if someone has created an account in your name and you don't remember doing it and it's not yours, you can file identity theft. Also, it's important to know that you do have the option to freeze your credit. So in seasons that you're not applying for any loans, any credit cards, you can always just freeze your credit and unfreeze it anytime. All right. So credit check plan. The first 7 to 21 days, focus on lowering down your utilization. I'm telling you, if you have your utilization at 30%, you are leaving a lot of points on the table. That's all I'm gonna say. Keep your utilization anywhere between 1 to 10%. But if you want to maximize it, when it's time to apply for a loan, bring that down to 1 to 3, anywhere between 1 to 3%. And also fix your personal information. So go to annualcreditreport.com. Look at all of your 3 CRA's credit report and see exactly how your personal information is being reported. If they have the wrong name, the wrong addresses, fix those first. Those comes first. So fix your personal information. That comes first. And also, if you have credit cards, track your statement closing date and your due dates as well. You can put it on your calendar, or just so you can have a way of tracking it and seeing when you're supposed to pay the minimum payment on that credit card, as well as tracking your statement closing date. That way you make sure that you have a utilization less than 10% before the statement is closed. Okay. In 30 to 60 days, you can, well, it doesn't have to happen 30 to 60 days. You can just do this like back to back. The sooner you can have all of this done, the better for you. Then you can start disputing. Remember, dispute with certified mail. So you want to make sure that you have the receipt. I'll recommend that if you go to USPS, you ask them to mail you the receipt. That way you have a digital record of it. I feel like it's difficult to actually track papers, or it's difficult for me. So that's why I recommend that you just get a digital receipt and track it that way. If you have any late payment, you can, if you know that you made the payment and you have proof of it, you can easily have that fixed. If you have proof that you actually made payment and it's a mistake on their end, you can have that, you can fix it that way. And again, there's also this strategy of doing a goodwill letter, where you kindly ask them to just remove that because it was your first time. But I don't think it worked as much as it used to back in the days. It doesn't anymore. So I would try to find any proof to show that you made payment. And there's other ways that you can dispute a late payment. We can go more about that in details in the next chapters. To win, yeah, payment history is important, right? So make sure that you are paying your stuff on time. Like, the payment history is about 35% of your FICO score. So making sure that you're paying everything on time every single month should be your number one priority. and having a low utilization should be up there as well. Okay, that pretty much concludes module 2. That's pretty much all that I wanted to go over, and that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. Okay.